OTS in the scientific world has been very concerned about climate change, and particularly from our perspective, the impact of a changing climate on tropical forests. If the global community, or even just the United States and some other countries, were to try and come up with the funds, and if forested countries were to take this on in an aggressive way, it would really change the direction in many ways of what is happening to our world's forests and the biodiversity in them. Scientifically, we have been gearing up to really address this forest climate issue and have continued to expand our research and expand the bringing together of scientists through research networks and through research projects. We've also been developing a series of courses for environmental decision makers looking at critical questions of the environment and sustainable development in the tropics.
This course is specifically designed to inform environmental policy decision makers in the United States.
The real importance here is we're mixing people from, for example, the Senate committees in the U.S. Senate and Congress. We have people from federal agencies like my own. Talking to each other and being in the field makes things much more human. We're all learning to measure trees together. We're going through the data.
Policymakers here are wanting to know a lot about the policy, but they also have to know the technical and scientific aspects.
I was very happy to have a chance to talk to these decision makers today about their deliberations on the design of the REDD program to reduce carbon emissions from forest deforestation and forest degradation.
I was asked to give a presentation on the opportunities and risks for the private sector when and if they would move to invest in these efforts.
A lot of people involved in the setting of policy are going to have to work with massive amounts of data, interpret science, question really hard, where do we get this knowledge that we're going to make policy based on?
We've talked about how these projects are both very exciting and very complicated simultaneously. And I hope that, and I would have liked to have driven home the point that also from an investment standpoint, these projects are both highly important for the environment, very exciting from a market standpoint, but also very complicated.
This morning we saw examples of how Fundecores is working with more than 600 families in this area, where they are being technically supporting owners of forests for being paid for carbon sequestration and water production. These families, with the support of Fundecores, are able to receive a fund for keeping forests based on the different environmental services that they are generating.
And we got to meet with one of the farmers who explained his perspective in trying to take this on over the last few years.
We, the farmers, are doing what we have to do. That means that part of reforestation, part of conservation, part of protecting natural resources is the way that we are contributing, not only for Costa Rica, but for the whole world.
When you get people who have to make the rules down on the ground, actually doing the measurements, we're not going to be perfect, but they get the tape measure in their hands, they're looking up at the tree, they're going, oh my God, this is really complicated. They have a better appreciation of the quality of the science that goes into it. They have a much better appreciation of the professionals who have to be involved in developing REDD projects, in verifying the data, in the long-term management of the forests to ensure that, for example, the biodiversity and carbon is cared for. So I think having the policy people with hands-on with those of us who've worked professionally is just a good way to mix it up and get people more familiar with what the reality is.